Recent studies show that a third of parents have deteriorated during the coronavirus pandemic, particularly those with young children at home and who are working from home. Now, while parental burnout affects only 5% of parents, these new statistics point to a worrying upward trend. This video will help you identify the signs, the symptoms of parental burnout, and give you some ideas and some signposting to limit stress and cope with the pressure of parenting in a pandemic world. Hello and welcome, I'm Ali, all-round lover of brains and their amazing capabilities. I'm a clinical solution-focused hypnotherapist and mental health educator, and I also lecture for CPHT in solution-focused hypnotherapy. I work with adults one-to-one who are struggling and want to get back on track. And what sets me apart from other therapies is that we can resolve the past without dwelling on it. And instead, I help my clients figure out what's going to work best for them to gradually but quickly improve things until they're managing their lives brilliantly. In short, I support you to thrive and cope brilliantly with whatever life has in store for you. So burnout's described by the World Health Organization as a state of vital fatigue. It's severe exhaustion caused by severe and chronic stress, and it really is on the rise in parents. Risk factors include a perfectionist style of personality and a highly structured and concerned parenting style, which means that if you put a lot of pressure onto yourself to get things right, including how your children are, you're definitely more at risk of burnout. And if you're a parent who not only keeps their children fed, safe, loved, and where they should be, the usual parenting stuff, but you're also concerned with creating an environment or creating a program to develop them into the best versions of themselves and help them truly realise their absolute potential, you too are very at risk. And women suffer more from this than men do. Add to that the pressures and fears of interrupted schooling, health fears due to the pandemic, home working, children's anxiety and mental health fears and challenges that are on the rise, and managing your own mental and physical health concerns. Even if you're not burnt out, you'll probably be suffering some of the symptoms and struggling in some way. If left, burnout can cause physical unwellness and damage to relationships with children and partners, and it will affect the wellness of your children too. So when we look at the symptoms of burnout, they're usually categorised as exhaustion, that's physical, emotional, spiritual, that feeling of there not being enough sleep in the world to fix things. Wrung out is how it's often described by parents. Now, this might include not having the energy to play with your children, or you might notice it in not being able to enforce those boundaries, where everything just feels too hard or too overwhelming. Another key symptom is emotional distancing, sometimes referred to as depersonalization, but it's that feeling of being disconnected from your children. There's this kind of lack of warmth or care. It's like you have that one last little nugget of energy left, and you feel like you have to keep it all to yourself. And the last one that's a really key factor in this is loss of pleasure or fulfillment in your role as a parent. Now, sometimes this makes you feel like you're a bad parent, as ineffective, which often comes with a lot of guilt and shame. And parents, they feel like a failure. If you're feeling like this, even if it's just a little bit or one of those symptoms, the first and most important thing that I want you to hear is this: you are not alone. There is help, and there are things that you can do to improve how you're feeling. And yes, I know this now feels like just another thing to do on an already everlasting list. But I know you wouldn't be here if you didn't want to see if there was a better way. And I can reassure you, there really is. So what's going on? Well, chronic stress is caused by unrestricted amounts of cortisol flooding the body. Cortisol, known as one of the stress hormones, is really useful. We need it to help us manage our lives in little bits, but too much of it is incredibly damaging. It's like driving a car everywhere, all the time, every speed in second gear. Even if you don't drive, you know that car's going to break at some point. Funnily enough, so do we. In hair samples, cortisol levels of stressed out parents were seen to be double that of other people. And cortisol also wipes out the positive neurotransmitter serotonin, sometimes for days on end. And it's this neurotransmitter which gives us feelings of well-being and, most importantly, feeling like we can cope. It is excess long-term cortisol that's implicated in stress-related illnesses, which can affect almost every organ and every system in the body. Now, in parental burnout, we see higher risk factors to children too, because of a rise in neglectful or violent, most often verbal, but sometimes physical, behaviours towards children. Even parents who are very much opposed to violence and are very committed parents. It makes you the opposite of who you want to be and who you really are. So the first thing when dealing with fatigue, the lesser than burnout or burnout itself, really is to ask for help. And I know that's a huge step and in itself can feel like a massive failure. So just do a quick search on the internet and that'll show you that at some point, every parent, every professional will have felt or experienced or heard from other parents some or all of this. That they hate being a parent and they really regret having children. That they miss their old pre-child life. That they want a break. I never knew hospital fantasy meant a night away from home sick in hospital. That they feel like a failure. That they worry they're hurting their children's development or well-being. That they feel like they're letting them down, that they haven't done enough, or maybe that it's that they blame themselves for something that can happen which is clearly not their fault. They put ridiculous pressure on themselves and their children, and they feel rubbish about their skills as a parent and rubbish about themselves. And because of it, it's the most natural thing in the world, right? No, not right now. Parenting is not natural right now. Now, it's not just you. It really isn't. It is all of us. And yes, in my 25 years of parenting and all the hundreds and hundreds of clients that I've seen, I've said or thought every single one of those things more than once, except the hospital fantasy. That is a new one on me. But here's the thing. What I want you to know is we've got you, okay? And here's what's been shown to really help. Now, I'm not normally an advocate of group therapy, but this really has been shown to help. We think it's because you get to realise it isn't just you, which lessens the burden of the guilt and shame. Now, you know what else looks like group therapy, don't you? That's you and your friends getting together for a girls' night or a lads' night, depending on whether you're a mum or a dad. So how many times in those nights together do you make this vow not to talk about the kids, but then you find yourself doing it all night? And it's why it helps. It's a huge protective factor. So really now, set up that Zoom call with your parent friends and be compassionate with each other, laugh, commiserate, tell all the dastardly deeds that have been going on in your house, all the things which remind us that this is a blooming tough job and that you're doing it in a really tough time for a really long time. Don't underestimate the fact that we've been doing this almost a year now. Secondly, a balance of stress reduction to stress enhancing factors. These have got to be equal, and you might even need more protective factors if you feel like you're struggling. So this might look like asking for help and support, which is why the nursery's opening and allowing grandparents and friends to help with childcare has been a massive priority. But lowering your expectations. So whatever you see on Mumsnet or Instagram or any other social media posts, school pressure to log on at certain times, all of these things and more, they might need a little bit of negotiation to reduce the pressure and expectation on you and your children. These are, as we've been saying for a year now, unprecedented times. We just got to be more adaptive and less rigid with our expectations, and it really does help. So in summary, if you're feeling some of these symptoms of parental burnout, so exhaustion, depersonalization or emotional distancing, and that loss of fulfillment, with all the symptoms that accompany those factors, the advice really is to seek professional help. And my advice would be, first stop, primary healthcare provider. Now, what comes after that can be a service like mine to support you, but this will be affecting your physical and mental health. So you need both a physician and a mental health professional to help you. And if you're watching this and thinking, now, I know I don't have parental burnout, but I am starting to see some of the symptoms and signs, I think I might be en route to this, ask for help now. The people who are in your support system, friends, family, work, and seek support to prioritise your well-being. Knowing that when you're good, you'll have so much more capacity and energy to support the well-being of everyone else in your life too, including your children. Everyone wins when you win. For more information, get in touch, and to see more videos like this and get my latest guided relaxations, visualizations and hypnosis meditations, hit the subscribe button and get reminders. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.